All right, let's get right into it. We're going to be talking about a massive silent exodus that is literally shaping a nation's future. We're looking at Nepal's brain drain. And to really get a sense of what's happening, I want to start with just one number: over 700,000. That's how many young, skilled, and ambitious people pack their bags and leave Nepal every single year. Just let that number sink in for a second. It's huge. And this isn't just some abstract statistic you'd find buried in a government report. This quote, this really hits home. It's what people are saying on the ground. It's a constant everyday reality, and there's this deep fear that most of these bright minds are leaving for good. So here's how we're going to break it all down. First, we'll look at the sheer scale of this movement. Then, we'll dig into the 6 big reasons pushing people out. After that, we'll tackle the tricky paradox of remittances, explore a possible blueprint to fix things, and finally, see how this whole challenge might just become an opportunity. Okay, first up, the sheer scale of it all. To put that 700,000 number into perspective, think about this. Every single month, more than 65,000 young Nepalis leave the country just for work. That's a constant, non-stop river of human talent flowing outwards. Which, of course, brings us to the most important question: why? Why is this happening? Well, it's not just one thing. It's a powerful combination of factors, what we're calling the 6-fold push. And the first driver? It's pretty straightforward: money. Skilled professionals can just make so much more for the exact same job in other countries. It's a financial pull that is incredibly hard for anyone to resist. Next up, even if you want to stay, the jobs just aren't there a lot of the time. The economy's growing slowly, so you have all these talented graduates who can't find work that actually uses their skills or matches their ambitions. And for some, this push to leave starts even earlier. We're talking outdated school curricula, poor facilities, and almost no support for research. So if you're a serious student or academic, you feel like you have to go abroad to really advance. Then you've got the whole political situation. With governments changing all the time, policies shifting, and corruption being a major issue, it's almost impossible to plan a long-term future. That kind of uncertainty really pushes people to look for stability elsewhere. And tied right into that is a lack of meritocracy. When getting a good job is more about who you know than what you know, people just lose faith in the system. Why stick around if you feel like the game is rigged against you? And finally, what if you're an innovator, an entrepreneur with a big idea? Well, there's a serious lack of support. We're talking very little venture capital, not enough startup incubators, basically a low ceiling for anyone who's really ambitious. So you see what's happening here? It's not any single one of these things. It's the combined weight of all 6, from paychecks to politics to opportunities, that creates this overwhelming pressure for Nepal's best and brightest to build their lives somewhere else. Now, you might be thinking, okay, but isn't there a silver lining? I mean, people who leave send money home, right? And they absolutely do. But this is where we get into something really complex: the remittance paradox. Just look at this number. In 2023 alone, Nepalis working abroad sent home over 11 times billion US dollars. That is a staggering amount of cash flowing back into the country. And this right here, this shows you just how dependent the country has become. That $11 billion makes up more than a quarter, 26.6%, of Nepal's entire GDP. The country's economy is literally being held up by its citizens working overseas. So here's the paradox in a nutshell. On one hand, that money is an absolutely critical economic lifeline. But on the other, it's masking a huge long-term danger. This dependency shrinks the pool of talent at home and actually holds back the kind of sustainable, homegrown economic growth that Nepal desperately needs. So that's the big question, right? If this financial lifeline is also kind of a crutch, what's the real long-term solution? How do you actually fix the root of the problem? And that brings us to the solutions. Now we're going to look at a multi-part plan, a blueprint designed not just to stop people from leaving, but to build powerful, genuine reasons for them to stay or even to come back home. So the blueprint basically attacks all 6 of those push factors we talked about. It's about creating stable, reliable policies, seriously investing in modern education, offering real career incentives, building a true ecosystem for entrepreneurs, actively working with the diaspora, and boosting practical job skills. And look, this isn't just wishful thinking. These ideas have teeth. Take vocational training, for example. Studies show these programs have a direct, measurable impact, boosting employment by anywhere from 10 to over 30% for people who go through them. This is proof that these targeted solutions actually work. Which all leads us to the ultimate goal, the big idea that could completely reframe this entire conversation. It's about moving from brain drain to brain gain. This isn't just about plugging a leak anymore. It's about reversing the flow entirely. So what exactly is brain gain? Well, it's about flipping the script. It's the process of actively turning the diaspora, all those people living abroad, into one of the country's greatest assets. It means strategically using their global knowledge, their skills, and their money to fuel innovation and development back home. And this isn't just a vague concept. There are concrete ideas on the table. Things like creating a brain gain center to act as a hub, setting up collaborations to transfer knowledge, and building platforms for mentoring and investment that directly connect global talent with projects on the ground in Nepal. And that leaves us with the final massive question. The road ahead is without a doubt incredibly tough, but the potential is immense. Can Nepal actually turn this huge exodus, probably its greatest challenge right now, into its most powerful strength for the future? Honestly, the answer to that will define everything.